Okay. Wow. That episode of The Mandalorian was awesome. I know that there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are going to be very disappointed because we didn't learn about spies. Din Djarin didn't die and wasn't replaced, so they could spend countless hours complaining about him being replaced. I mean, it was just an awesome episode. You have Din Djarin being essentially the solid snake of the Star Wars universe. I mean, who and what can that guy not do? I mean, Praetorian Guards, no problem. Needs to find some place to get to inside of an Imperial base. Just call up R5 and ask him to get him the location, get him the map. I mean, Din is by far the most capable Star Wars character, I think. I mean, people really should complain about him. The dude, he knows like every type of fighting method. He knows how to use like every type of weapon, blasters, melee weapons, whatever. I mean, the dude is awesome. There's really nobody his equal, in my opinion. Love Din. I think the most interesting thing, though, about the finale is the number of YouTubers that were so wrong about it. I mean, there are hundreds of videos from very specific YouTubers, talking about how Din's going to die. And, I mean, I personally kept posting comments that I thought Bo was going to die. But I'm glad she didn't. I mean, I'm a big Bo Din person. I love the idea of Din and Bo hooking up. Even if they're like super old people. Doesn't matter. They're a great couple. I mean, that part where they're both fighting, spoilers, that part where they're both fighting Gideon together. And Bo's got that line. She's like, doesn't matter when we do things together or something like that. That part was awesome. And then, of course, Grogu, their kid, swear, coming in for the rescue, save mom and dad, don't let mom and dad get cooked, is awesome. It was awesome. I honestly expected and was hoping, not expecting, but I was honestly hoping at the very end, like Bo's ship lands and walks up to the porch where Din's sitting there in his chair, his rocking chair with his rifle, totally a Western. Star Wars was a Western originally, spaghetti Western type idea, mixed between Kurosawa films and Western films. Like, I think John and Dave really nailed it with this. And people complain about this desert planet. It's a Western. Like, the original Star Wars was a Western, And the stuff that's silly that people complain about, Star Wars has always been silly. It's always been silly. You're telling me a movie that has the line, "You came in that thing, you're braver than I thought," is not silly? I mean, how can you get any more silly than that? When people complain about Disney, people complain that Disney's ruining it. The two Ewok movies and the holiday special came out long before Disney had anything to do with Star Wars. So I don't know how people. I know why people do it. People do it because they want YouTube views. They want to be controversial. They want to have reasons for people that want to hate on Star Wars. I mean, I used to be a total hate, not Star Wars, but I used to be a total hater when I was a teenager, early 20s. I wanted to hate everything that was popular. So I get it. I mean, I'm not hating on them. Like, if you want to hate on it, it's cool. It's cool, I guess. But, I mean, it's just ridiculous, the number of people that want to claim that Star Wars is somehow different now than it's ever been. And it's just not, it's not the case. I mean, that whole fight between the Mandalorian and the guards with the red force fields, does anybody remember where we've seen that before? Well, probably Phantom Menace, except the force fields were purple. It's the exact same thing as Phantom Menace. Like, it was a really good, comparable scene to Phantom Menace where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are fighting Darth Maul, and it's the same type of thing with the force shields. Except this time, Din needs R5 to turn him off. So, I mean, it's similar stuff. And the silly stuff, like people being mad about the episode with Lizzo. I mean, whatever. Come on, go back. And the woke stuff, I think woke means Disney. If it's Disney, it's automatically woke. And this whole thing where female characters is a big deal and like it's never been done before. Go back and watch the Ewok movies, okay? First Ewok movie, family crashes on Endor. It's the boy and the girl, the son and the daughter, trying to save their parents. And the son's totally relatable to Luke Skywalker, wears an orange jumpsuit, kind of a mix between Luke and Han. But then what happens? Second movie, he dies in the first 5 minutes. And then it's just the little girl. Is that woke? George Lucas made that in 83, 84, whatever, 85, Was that woke then? I would love to see some of these YouTubers like make classic versions of their gripe videos where they go back and just complain about what Star Wars was back then. I mean, was George Lucas trying to be a groomer back with back with the holiday special? Because I seem to recall a couple sequences with people in drag. Was that grooming? I don't think so. I'm not trying to get too political. I just think it's ridiculous that so many people hate, so many people act like this is new or this never happened before, or you complain about the sequel trilogy and then they like the prequels. I mean, Attack of the Clones is pretty much unwatchable. The pacing is so bad. You can like it. I'm not saying not to like it. If you like it, you like it. But let's be honest. You can't complain about one of the sequel movies and be okay with Attack of the Clones. It's just not, doesn't make sense. But anyways, finale was great. Season 4 is coming. We people say they didn't foreshadow anything. They totally did. The whole sequence with Din, R5, and Grogu trying to get to Gideon, I'm pretty sure is a good example of what we're going to see in season 4. Because those three are still together, and we're going to see them going on missions and them being a team. I'm pretty sure that whole sequence, fighting the guards, not the Praetorian guards, but the stormtrooper, the Mando trooper guys that Din just dispatched with ease. Dude has no weapons. Goes in, step by step, takes each pair of guards out, gains his weapons. I mean, that's Din for you. He is they should make a game where you play as Din and have Grief Karga play the role of the person giving out the missions. I know he doesn't really do that anymore, but if you die in the game, instead of going Snake like they did back in the Metal Gear game, in Metal Gear Solid, have it go Mendo! Grief Karga's voice. Love Grief Karga. That dude, I'm sure Carl Weathers is not trying to be funny, but the way he delivers his lines are so hilarious to me. That the scene when Grogu gets his IG-12 suit, and he's like, maybe he thinks he can do it. The delivery of that, so good. God, I think back to Rocky 2, where Apollo's in his office talking to his guys, and then you think about that, and then you think about Carl Weathers playing Grief Karga and playing the Supreme Administrator, whatever he's called. It's just funny contrast to me. Funny contrast, but series finale I thought was great. Cool action. They did a bunch of cool, cool stuff with the ship and the flying, everybody jumping out of the airlock, essentially. All that was so cool. The way that they loaded up into the drop ships. I mean, pretty unconventional. You think about it. You think you just have those in a hangar or something. But no, I mean, they did a bunch of cool stuff. People complain about it or don't like it, then I just question whether or not they like Star Wars or Mandalorian at all. I mean, if you're looking for something different, maybe you need to look at a different show. If you want more seriousness, if you want more something that's deeper, something that has more, interesting things happening. I mean, it's Star Wars. It's not meant to be. I mean, Andor kind of broke that mold a bit, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe people watched Andor and then came back to Mandalorian and were expecting these deep storylines. I don't know. It was great. I think it was great. If you like Star Wars, if you really like Star Wars, don't mind the camp, don't mind the silliness, love the visualization that you get from Mando, the cool, set pieces. I think you'll love it. Or you should have loved it, because hopefully you haven't not watched it yet, since I'm spoilering things here. But anyways, that's my opinion on this. Try and start doing more videos. I'm really excited about seeing what action figures come out of season 3, because we'd get the Praetorian Guard, we would get Gideon in his new armor, we'd get the new stormtroopers or his troopers. I think it'd be kind of cool if they did a Gideon clone in a Bacta tank. whatever he was in. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I thought it was great. Let me know what you think in the comments.